By now, you're probably aware that Battle Royale games have gotten really popular really fast, mostly with the release and widespread success of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and then Fortnite swooping in right behind them to sweep up some of that player base. Both of these games are still doing pretty well as far as I'm aware, with PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds peaking at about 2.5 million players per day playing at the same time. That's absolutely enormous. This Battle Royale genre has a lot of potential that is currently being untapped. Now, I never got into Battle Royale games, mostly because I would look at a stream or a gameplay video of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds or Fortnite, and what I would see is just a lot of running. There would be, moments of high tension and stress, and I guess that's what a lot of players live for and what a lot of players love about this. But the moments in between this action and excitement are just running around, hoping that you find an unopened treasure chest, hoping that you would find a player that you could beat and then loot, and then running for a long time across the whole field, forever. It was never really something that I saw as all that exciting. And I distinctly remember this one time I tuned into Force Gaming's stream, and it was at the very end of the match. It was him and like a few others, and the circle had shrunk pretty considerably. It was just him and a few others, and he was hiding in a bush, just prone, waiting to see any amount of movement. He actually managed to see movement that I, as the viewer, was unable to see, shot and killed a guy, and I was like, this doesn't look fun, so I turned off the stream and went to go play something else. I've watched streams and gameplay of Fortnite as well, and while it does look a little more fast-paced and a little more my speed for the casual scrub that I am, it still has that same problem. Not nearly as bad as hiding in a bush at the end of a match like in PUBG, but it still seemed to have that same problem of running around, hoping that you find something, hoping that you kill somebody so you can finally get even more stuff. And then the random quality of the weapons kind of feels weird for a game like that too. So those are the reasons why I never wanted to get into a Battle Royale game, even though Fortnite is free and all it would cost me is my time. But the other day I was on Twitter and I saw somebody tweet out a little video of a game called the Darwin Project. Even though I had no desire to try out PUBG or Fortnite, I did have a desire to play a Battle Royale game. I love the idea, I just don't like all the downtime in the middle of the action. It just doesn't feel like there's enough to do. There's plenty of evolution that could be had in the genre. So I saw this tweet about this game called the Darwin Project, and I looked a little more into it, and I saw how this game was a little bit different. Rather than just running around hoping that you run into somebody and making sure that you stay inside an ever-shrinking circle, you're actually actively encouraged to hunt other players. Everything you do in the Darwin Project leaves behind a clue. If you gather something, you're going to leave behind the remains as a clue. If you're running around in the snow, your footprints are going to be left behind. If you craft something, you're going to leave your trash behind, and then that will be a clue for somebody else. And what this clue does is, once you inspect it, you're able to see exactly where the other player is, where he's going, how far away he is, and how healthy he is. That's one of the main gimmicks of the game. And that, on its own, was enough to make me request a key from the developers and try this game out. And I did more than just try the game out. I streamed it for about 12 hours this weekend when I should have been doing other things, like writing scripts for other videos or filling up my backlog for my Let's Play channel. But I got really, really addicted to this game. So because I enjoyed this game so much, I wanted to share it with you folks who may not have tuned into my stream or may not have wanted to watch a stream. So, the Darwin Project is a Battle Royale game that just had a closed alpha event this past weekend. As far as I can tell, there were only about 700 players in total, which isn't a lot of people, but considering that each match only requires 10 people rather than the 100 that Fortnite and PUBG require, means that there were plenty of people to get games going. The very core gameplay loop of the Darwin Project is about the same as PUBG or Fortnite. You're going to be wandering around the environment, searching for things, gathering things so you can just be stronger and be more prepared whenever you inevitably meet somebody to fight. However, there are plenty of things that set it apart. First off, the map is separated into 7 sectors. So rather than having one large sector that constantly shrinks into a smaller and smaller circle, one of the 7 sectors will, at a certain interval, be forbidden. Before the sector becomes forbidden, there will be a 60-second warning, which means that if you're inside that sector, you gotta get out, you gotta run. You can either take one of the teleporter gates to teleport to the opposite side of the map, or you can just book it to a neighboring zone. And in all the matches that I played, it never screwed you over by locking you into a sector, unable to escape, because it closed all your escape paths on the outside. So while the map does continually shrink, it's not around the same circle that both Fortnite and PUBG are doing. So it's a little bit of a breath of fresh air, and it still keeps the game dynamic, and you're not sure where you're going to end up at the end of any match. Another thing that the Darwin Project does a bit differently is that this game has survival elements. You're in the frozen north, you're in Canada, and it's really cold. So you gotta manage your body temperature, right? So if you get too cold, you're gonna have to make a fire, which means you're gonna need wood. So you're gonna have to go around and you're gonna have to chop some wood so you can build a fire. The problem is though, if you build a fire, it creates a beacon of light and smoke for everybody who might be able to see it, might be in sightline of it, to know that there is a person right there, possibly standing still and trying to warm up, which means that you're a sitting duck. And that fire that you left behind and the wood that you chopped both leave behind clues for people who might want to kill you to come and find you. And you might be wondering, hey Ingenious Clown, why don't they just wear a coat? Well, you're gonna have to craft that coat. You're gonna need a little bit of wood, you're gonna need a little bit of leather, so you can make a fur coat. That will slow down how quickly you lose your body heat. So it's an important upgrade to craft. And of course, gathering leather and gathering wood and then crafting that fur coat will in turn leave behind clues. So you can see how all of these systems feed into each other. And speaking of crafting, that's another thing that the Darwin Project has that is a little bit unique to it. Now sure, it's not the first game that's ever had crafting, but it adds a little extra layer of depth and complexity in an otherwise pretty simple genre. There's 4 main categories of things that you can craft. The first category is your survival stuff. That's going to be your fire, and that's going to be your arrows. And that's also going to be a piece of armor that'll take 1 hit for you. Your next category is your equipment. That's going to be your fur coat, that's going to be the power of your axe, and that's going to be your boots to help you run faster. Your third category are your utilities, and that can be anything from bear traps to cages to snowballs to make people colder. And the last category is technology. These are special items that give you really powerful abilities to help you fight, help you run, and help you survive. This can be anything from an extremely long-range teleporter that can slingshot you halfway across a sector. This could be a shield that makes you invulnerable for a good 10 to 20 seconds. This could be a little turret that dies in 1 hit, but can catch people really off guard and help you out in combat. And possibly the most interesting thing about all of this is that most of these things can be swapped out for something else if you don't like that playstyle, or it can be changed into something different. For instance, you can change your boots out so that you don't get quite as much speed when you craft it, but it lowers the amount of time that somebody can track you once they discover one of your clues that you leave behind. There's a lot of choices that can be made in these items, and a lot of experimentation to be had. Also, all of your equipment you can stack up for 5 total upgrades, so you can make your axe really, really strong, you can make your boots make you run really, really fast, and you can make your fur coat make you really, really warm. You know, talking about all of this out loud, it doesn't really make it seem all that unique or all that exciting or all that well done. But I think what the developers of the Darwin Project managed to do is make all of these systems cohesive. They all fit together very, very well in a way where they all complement each other in a very organic way. And I think where a lot of it comes together is the way that you get the materials for those super powerful technologies that I was talking about. As far as I know, the only 2 ways to get technology is to, 1, get first blood, that'll give you a piece of electronics so you can create technology, or 2, loot it from a drop that comes at certain intervals that gets announced to everybody who's still playing. So if that thing drops and you're nearby, you're probably going to want to go get it. But if anybody else is nearby, they're also going to want to go get it. These things are highly sought after, and if one spawns near you, you're probably going to want to go get it. Sometimes you're able to get in and get out and get your technology, get your electronic without any sort of combat. But a lot of times, since this is a point of interest, there's going to be combat here, and that's when it gets really exciting because the stakes are really high at this point. Not only is there electronics at stake for your super powerful technologies that can help you survive and fight, but you're also fighting for your life, and if you happen to survive and kill somebody in this combat, you get to loot that person's body, you get all of their uncrafted wood and leather, you get all of their arrows, and you get healed for about 25% of your health. So if you beat somebody in combat, there's a lot in it for you, especially the materials, because you're going to need a lot of materials to fully upgrade all of your equipment, to keep yourself well armored, to keep yourself warm, to keep yourself stocked with arrows, and none of these materials respawn over the course of the game. Once it's chopped, once it's gathered, you can't chop it again. I guess that goes without saying, but you'd be surprised at how often I found myself unable to find any trees in an emergency or any leather when I really needed some. Because with 10 people wandering around, all with the same goal of gather materials so they can power up and survive, there's going to be a lot of materials missing on the map, and you don't know where somebody's been until you get there. So you might find yourself in a place that's been completely stripped of all useful materials. That ends up wasting time for you, while other people might be powering up. However, this feeds back into the clue system, because all of these things have been looted. If it hasn't been too long, you can inspect these stumps, inspect these deer heads that people were hunting, inspect these chests, these campfires that have long since burnt out, and see exactly where this person is. If they're nearby, you might want to go after them and kill them and take all of their materials. So what makes it different from PUBG or Fortnite is that you have very specific goals. You're not just wandering and hoping that you run into somebody, or hoping that you find a chest. You're wandering, well, you're still kind of hoping you find a chest because chests can have multiple materials, or they can have armor, or they can have upgrades in them. But you're gathering these materials so you can craft your upgrades, so that you can survive, so that you can stay warm, so that you can craft more arrows, so that you can upgrade your axe to make it stronger, to make you more able to win a fight. You're able to hunt down people rather than just hope to run into somebody. There's a lot of player agency that's introduced in the Darwin Project as part of the Battle Royale experience. And that, I think, is what made me fall in love with this game. And keep in mind, everything that I'm talking about is just in the closed alpha experience. What I played, sure, it had some bugs, it might have had a few imbalances here and there, but what I played was really polished, and it was very, very fun. I can't wait to play more. I can't wait for the next alpha weekend, which I think is in the middle of December, if I saw their tweet correctly. If I remember their tweet correctly, that is. And this is just one game mode. As far as I can tell, they're planning more. Hopefully they plan out more maps. Hopefully they add more items. Hopefully they just add a lot more neat stuff. Because what they have here is a very, very solid foundation that I am really, really excited for. However, that's not even all of it. I said that there's 10 people on a map. That's not quite true. There's 10 combatants on the map. However, there can be an 11th person called the show director. And what this guy does, he's kind of the puppeteer. He's kind of God in a sense. He can actually affect the players and the battlefield in significant ways. If you're cold and you're lucky, he might give you a warm-up drone. If you've won his favor for some reason, or he happens to like you, he can give you an invincibility drone or a heal drone to help you out in your next combat. He can nuke an area if he chooses to, which is especially hilarious if there's like 6 people running into that area because they're escaping another forbidden zone. Or he can just make another area forbidden while another area is becoming forbidden. There's all sorts of stuff that he can do. Obviously, the whole idea of this guy, of this show director guy, is just extremely anti-competitive. However, the Darwin Project doesn't take itself too seriously. And what I mean by that is that it inserts a sort of dark humor into this whole situation. It's very much like The Hunger Games. I haven't seen the movies, I haven't read the books, but from what I understand, it's very much like The Hunger Games because this whole thing is pretty much a game show. And they're playing the humor out of that. And the show director comes from that too. So if the show director wants to make it a good show, he can make it a good show. He can do whatever he wants. He can be like Jigsaw. He could be like your favorite scary movie villain. He can start toying with somebody, ask them to jump 3 times, and if they jump 3 times, maybe he'll heal you. But whoops, you jumped 4 times, now he's gonna nuke the whole zone and it's all your fault. That's the kind of silly stuff that you can hope to see if I was able to be a show director. However, I was not able to be a show director because I didn't have a show director key, which was only given to a very select few individuals. However, I could see so much potential in this, so much fun, trolly potential. It was wonderful. It was wonderful having some of these players that knew how to play well, and the show directors who knew how the game worked, narrating my actions to their own audiences, because they were also streaming. Like most people that were playing were streamers or YouTubers. It's hard to explain how much it added to the experience for me. At first, I was really confused by it. I was a little annoyed, but once I started to understand the game, and once I started to feel good about my own abilities and about my own knowledge, it only added to the experience. And what that caused me to do was, once I realized that there was a bug in the spectator camera once you died, where it actually lets you open your mic and talk to people who you were spectating, I took advantage of that. I took cues from the show directors who were shoutcasting, and then I invented my own little method of shoutcasting that I liked to call trollcasting. Reject starts looting the body, and now...
Holy cow. Oh god!
The friends that were once friends are no longer friends anymore. They have bad blood, as Taylor Swift would say. The two unlikely allies are engaging in some friendly banter on their way to their next prey.
It's like my inner monologue.
It's the best. This is the best. This is as good as gaming gets.
Oh,
there he is.
He creates a fire in a wooden cabin. This seems like a really bad idea. The whole thing is gonna burn down. He better get out of there before he goes aflame. He's making a snowball to hopefully douse the intense fires that he set himself. And then he runs away, because that's the smart thing to do. Turns out this omnipotent fella did not know that these two were allied. Another turn of events that not anybody could have predicted, other than me.
I love this guy. Who are talking? I love you, man.
Sounds like he's being shot at, or him and his potential ally are shooting somebody else.
No, we're shooting him.
An armor is broken. Close quarters combat. This is unprecedented. Actually, it's very precedented. Some people probably found it obnoxious. In fact, I know of a couple people who would find it absolutely obnoxious. However, just some of the laughs that these people were getting and some of the reactions that I was getting from my troll casting just, again, added even more to the experience. And that's not something that you can get from Fortnite or PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Because those games take themselves... They take themselves pretty seriously, and I appreciate this about the Darwin Project. I love how it's inserting some levity into the whole situation, into the whole genre. It's not just, I gotta survive, I gotta kill everybody, I gotta be the last one alive, I gotta be the best. It's embracing the humor, and it's embracing the game show aspect. And for those reasons, and for all of the player agency that it's inserting into the game, rather than just wandering around hoping to find somebody, it's for all of these reasons that I got really addicted to the Darwin Project over this weekend, and I am really excited to play some more, and I'm excited to share this video with you folks and tell you about this game that's coming up. I'm actually really, really happy that I was able to finally find a Battle Royale game that was enjoyable to me, that I actually wanted to play. Because with this craze where there's one game that has 2.5 million concurrent players, and I being the one schmuck who hasn't even bought the game, I felt dirty, you know? So I finally found a Battle Royale game that was for me, and hopefully some of you folks will enjoy it as well. I know some of my viewers, when I was streaming it over this weekend, were pretty excited to play themselves as well. So here's hoping that the Darwin Project just continues to nail it, and it continues to be incredible fun for me, and they continue to not take the game as seriously as PUBG and Fortnite take themselves. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with taking yourself seriously as a game, it's just, you know, the kind of person that I am, I appreciate the levity and the humor. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I got a little bit long-winded here, but I guess that's because I enjoy this game as much as I do. But hey, if you like the video, like the video. If you dislike the video, dislike the video. And if you're not already subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button for more awesome gaming content here in the future, and I will see you next time.